My name is Cathy Reynolds. I am an independent candidate running for Roanoke City Council.
Great. Tell me about your background.
Well, I am not originally from Roanoke. I was born and raised in Allegheny County. Roanoke is home, has been home since the late 90s. I did attend Roanoke College here, earned a bachelor's in art and criminal justice, and then went to the Appalachian School of Law to get my law degree. Um, Entering into the field of law, I'm a criminal defense attorney. I've been practicing for going on 9 years, and yeah, it's pretty much it. I like to help the community. That's what made me become a lawyer, and I've built relationships, foundation, trust-wise, with the community. And I want to put forth an effort to expand the amount of help that I give. Right now, as a defense attorney, I am restricted to helping the community in the event of a criminal charge. I want to help in greater depth. So that's what brought me to run for city council.
Great. I'm curious, just as an aside, what you mentioned studying art. Was there a medium that you were involved in, or?
No.
Yeah, all sorts.
No. It was just that one particular. Early on in my education, I did do the computer science. I did that for long enough to get an associate's degree and kind of switch gear. So
Gotcha.
I knew that wasn't something that was for me. I wanted to be more hands-on in interacting with the public in general. So.
Gotcha. Well, tell me, why do you want to serve Roanoke as a city council member?
Well, before I get into why I want to serve, I do want to make it known that Roanoke has and always will be a great place to raise a family and retire. I feel like it offers a variety of different options for individuals regardless of who he or she may be. I feel like Roanoke has a great deal of potential, and I want to tap into the potential. I want to ensure that every resident of Roanoke has the opportunity to thrive. As a practicing attorney and a member of the community, I've seen up close and personal what opportunities Roanoke does offer, as well as what challenges we face. So I want to take a community engagement approach to fix the problems. That's what prompted me to run.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk policy priorities. If you're elected, what's one of the first actions you would push for city council to take?
Well, my campaign stands on the shoulders of bridging the gap between under-resourced and affluent community. So in my first 30 days, if elected, I would familiarize myself with Roanoke City Council legal framework and policies. I would meet with city departments, city staff, look from a legal perspective to see if there are any legal challenges that we can iron out. I would also engage the community. I always want to engage the community. I want to attend as many neighborhood association meetings as possible. And it's all about community engagement for me. So that's what the first 30 days of my term would look like if elected.
The main priority of council is overseeing a roughly $380 million annual budget. What do you want to see happen with the city's budget over your 4-year term?
Over my 4-year term, I would like to first do a thorough review of the budget and cut any sort of wasteful spending. I'm not sure what that wasteful spending is right now because I'm not a sitting council member, but I can't guarantee that there is wasteful spending going on, so we would need to cut that. Um, there are several different projects that I would actually like to um, interact in and support and make sure that the funding is available. Parks and Rec, they are the driving force of the tourism portion of our economy. They deserve to have, proper funding to be able to maintain our greenways. The trees on Melrose that were planted, I think maybe like a few years ago, several of them are broken at the bottom, so that's not going to increase our tree canopy at all. So we need to make sure funding is available for Parks and Rec. We need to make sure that funding is available for the organizations that drive the economy via tourism. Reopening the campground. I feel like that would be very beneficial for Roanoke. It would definitely drive tourism. We've been named a Metro Mountain destination. It means people come here for our mountains. They come here for our greenways. They come here to hike, bike. So we need to make sure that that continues to happen. We have a couple of other foundations that I feel drive tourism, such as our art foundation. We definitely need to focus on investing more in education and making sure that Roanoke City, there's education equality across the board. And I do believe that the Roanoke City public schools, they're on the right track to do that. I took an in-depth look at the strategic plan that they have in place, and it's great. You can actually read it and follow it and see the vision and see where they're going. I love the emphasis that it places on the availability of pre-K for all students, because I believe that pre-K is where it all starts. I believe that studies would suggest that children that attend pre-K get better grades, they graduate, they have a higher earning potential, and there's a reduction in crime rate associated with that. So yeah, that's what drives, that's what makes me passionate. Neighborhood revitalization. I want to jump on that immediately, particularly in these under-resourced neighborhoods. Give the under-resourced neighborhoods the opportunity at a good quality of life. That's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And there are several other policies that I have, but I'll wait my turn.
Yeah. That's great. Roanoke's residential neighborhoods remain highly racially segregated. What role should city government play in dismantling that legacy?
Well, I will tell you what they shouldn't do is go against what the community is asking them to do. If you hear the majority of the community crying out at something that you're doing, take a minute and listen and say, is there another way to do this? Talk to the community. Don't talk at them. Talk to them. Listen to them. Engage. And there will be some common ground there, but you cannot expect to find common ground when you're talking at people instead of to them. You're talking over them and not listening to what they have to say. We can work this out. I as well as the plaintiffs and the zoning amendment lawsuits, everyone is aware that we need more housing. We need to go about it in an efficient way that does not upset the majority of Roanoke, which is what I'm seeing right now. I took an in-depth look at the zoning amendments, and I see why the residents are upset. I do. There are several ways to combat it. The first way would be to use what we have. There are several homes, multifamily property sitting around boarded up, vacant. Let's use them. There are several vacant lots. Let's use them. There are several vacant parking lots. Let's use them. let's pool our resources there first before we start changing the character of these neighborhoods. It can be done.
How would you work to implement the city's climate action plan, or do you disagree with its recommendations?
The climate action plan, I'm not going to say I necessarily disagree with any of the plans that City Council has. There are things need to be ironed out, just put it that way. I believe further research needs to be done. Further engagement with the community needs to be done. Voices need to be heard. And we would, pick up, I would hope we would pick up and go from there. Again, I'll go back to the issue of the community engagement. What are we here for if it's not to serve the community? We put these action plans in motion, and the majority of it comes from consultants. People come from the outside, come in, do these observations, write these plans up. And the plans that they're writing will not impact their lives one way or the other. They come in, do their job, give us the plan, and then leave. So that said, in terms of the climate action, I think they're on the right path. Increasing the tree canopy, talked about that earlier. They're doing it, right? But maintaining it is an issue. They've put great deference on the urban heat islands. I would hope by now that everybody is aware of global warming. If it's not, then there's a bigger issue. They've done it by, resistance with the Evans Spring plan. I'm all about preserving. I made some recommendations with a survey that was sent to me on runway greenhouses, rooftop rain. I can't remember what it's called, but it had several different recommendations. Permeable pavement here for flooding. So yeah, I'm not in disagreement with the plan. I think we just need to do what I said, stop listening to people that it won't impact, and let's get some more feedback from the community and move forward from there.
Sort of touching on something you mentioned briefly, but you're on the record opposing the current policies that ended exclusively single-family zoning. What's your solution to encouraging the development of more affordable housing?
So I think we need to define what affordable housing is, first of all. And I think we do that by going to the people that this is going to impact, the people that are, so-called, this is going to benefit. $450,000 townhome, that's not affordable housing, not to even me. Building multiple multifamily units on a corner lot, up to 6 in residential neighborhoods, that's not an option. The plaintiffs in these lawsuits are not opposed to change. Let's get that straight. I've spoken to a few of them. What they are opposed to is sitting here having to fight for the legacy that they built, okay? It wasn't right back in the 1960s. It's not right now. So I understand, I empathize, I do. Like I said, they're not opposed to change. They just don't want to be pushed out of something that they've taken years to build. I don't think that there would be an issue with a few multifamily properties going up in these neighborhoods, but you're putting 6 on one lot. Say that all 6 of those are duplexes, in each duplex has 4 occupants. 4 times 6, that's 24 people. Where are they gonna park? These are all, it's gonna cause congestion for our trash trucks, our buses, city and public. Those are issues that need to be thought through thoroughly. What I can say is there is a solution. I did look deeply into the Evans Spring plan. And as of right now, there are approximately 2,200 vacant for rent properties here in Roanoke, and there are another 2,300 vacant other. So there is housing here. What we need to look into doing is hitting these landlords with rent caps. A lot of people were pushed out of their homes after COVID. It kind of shook up the whole world. People have bad credit scores now, they lost everything. So they're forced to rent. These landlords know that. So what other option do they have outside of paying the asking price for, a unit that landlord has no business asking for? So that's option one. Option two, I do not want to focus so much on affordable renting. I think we need to focus more on affordable home ownership. You touched briefly, kind of integrating some of the neighborhoods. I think we could probably do that through making home ownership affordable, not having, the minorities pay rent for an apartment to increase generational wealth gap for the owner of the multifamily. That will put us on the path to make things close the generational wealth gap. That's what I want to do. So,
how do we make home ownership affordable?
So, I think there's several ways to do it. The Fed just cut the interest rate by, 0.5%. That's going to affect the housing market. The Democratic candidate for president is offering, if elected, the possibility of a $25,000 down payment. Down payments do hinder people from getting in homes. A lot of people, they don't have the down payment. There's down payment assistance programs, but they get depleted pretty fast. Those are all ways to make home ownership more affordable. And this is a big one that I don't even think a lot of people realize. We need to make our credit score calculations more equitable because we have a lot of minorities renting. That does not go on the credit report. So it makes it more difficult for them to be able to qualify for a home because, they've got several years of rental history, but the credit report doesn't show it. So we need to do something about that. There are several, things I feel could be done to make home ownership more affordable. But this rental and this housing thing, that's not going to help anyone except for the person that owns the properties.
Mm-hmm. I have one unique question for you. You gained headlines locally and actually nationally, Washington Post story in 2021 after suing Roanoke police in federal court over an invasive search of your home that came days after successfully defending your stepson on a murder charge. And the city paid to settle that case. Has that experience led you to believe there exist any systemic issues at Roanoke's police department?
I tried to prepare myself for this because I figured I was going to get asked about it at some point. And let me start out by saying that the Roanoke City Police Department and myself, I think we have what I would call a love-hate relationship. I do not in any way, shape, or form, I've moved away from it. What happened to me? I went to coffee with one of the other candidates who's aware, he's a colleague as well. And he asked me, why don't I talk about it on the campaign trail? And I looked at him, I said, well, it's not for the reason that you think. I said, it was a traumatic experience, and people tend to close traumatic experiences out and don't want to revisit them. But to answer your question, I think there's systemic racism in all police departments. Want to know why? Because we're human. And, there are just bad people in the world, right? Some hatred is taught. A lot of it is taught at home. The majority of it is taught. We're not born not liking each other, right? So the way that we grow up, what we see growing up, our interactions with people, that's what shapes, and some of the bad people end up on the police force, unfortunately. I do think, however, that our generations they're closing the gap in terms of cultural, what's the word that I'm looking for? Not knowing who we are because we look different. Society is shifting. You can see it. Look on social media. Everyone loves everyone now, for the most part. We have our outliers. Going to always have those. So that said, I think that the majority of the officers on the Roanoke City Police Department are excellent at what they do. I have an enormous amount of respect for police. Without them, we have some serious issues, not only here in Roanoke, but in the United States in general. They're here for a reason. But yes, yes, absolutely.
I know it's a big question too, but if you're elected on council and you would be overseeing the city manager who oversees the police department, do you think are there any sort of accountability or specific issues that you'd want to see changed at this point with how things are run?
Okay, yes. But in order to make the changes, we need to be more competitive in our pay for our police, okay? Competitive pay will attract people with more experience, more interaction with diverse backgrounds. With our force, I don't know if it's being done, but if it's not, some sort of cultural competency training needs to be done. A lot of the actions that we as minorities, do, it's a part of our culture. It's not aggressive, but it's taken as aggressive because the person that is interpreting what we are doing, they don't know us. So cultural competency training absolutely needs to be done. They need to do training in de-escalation techniques, and they need to go out and engage with the public in a non-aggressive way. Without the public, they can't solve the crimes, right? So we need to build trust between the police and our communities.
A fun question for you now. You're going out to eat. You're going out to eat for dinner in Roanoke. Name just one place. Where do you go?
Probably Billy's.
Billy's?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there a particular thing you like there?
I like Billy's. They have a great Caesar salad, and they have the best shrimp and grits that I've had here. So,
Nice.
yeah.
And then finally, what books are on your nightstand? What are you reading currently?
So I do the Kindle, but hard books. I have the 48 Laws of Power. There are several self-help books that I've read. I've read poetry books. All of them don't come to mind right now, because to be honest with you, I've not had a lot of time to do a lot of reading between, being a full-time attorney and campaigning, which I enjoy more so than other things. But anyway, The 48 Laws of Power was the last book that I read.
Tell me about that one. What's that about?
So into reading it, it kind of, a lot of people, I think they misinterpret it. They try to use it for manipulation, anything that is intended to be good falls into the wrong hands. They, read it and say, oh, I can do this and that and the third, and make somebody believe this, that, and the third. So the book actually teaches you how to persuade people to believe in your way, which is what I do anyway, right? So I had a lot in common with the book, and I did not have any ill will while I was reading it. I just wanted to know what, it was a lot of hype about the book, some years ago. And during lockdown, I ordered the book on Amazon, started reading it, and it's a great book. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. Okay,
yeah, I wasn't familiar. Persuade a jury. Well, that's it for my questions.
Well, thank you.